Welcome back to Scouting Fatwood Stump Adventures, and this is episode 32. I'm back at the same location. As you see behind me, that is the stump with that long core that stuck out of it that I cut down and harvest some fatwood from. So I'm back to finish up what I started. This is a small stump. It's not big. It looks like it's totally rotted out, with the exception of the root system that I believe is still intact. Just got to dig it up. That has that pine resin in it that preserved it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to finish up first harvesting a couple of these pieces of this fatwood that I left behind from my last video. Then I'm going to cut in to this stump here. I'm going to clean it all around, and I'm going to dig up the whole root system, and I'm going to show you what it looks like. I'm going to harvest a few pieces from that root system. Stay with me. This is Outdoor Wilderness Wildlife Adventures, and I'm your host, Hiker Lou. This is Scouting Fatwood Stump Adventures, episode 32. This is going to be one exciting, educational fatwood stump hiking adventure. Stay there. I'm back at the same location from my previous video where I began harvesting some of this wood here. As you can see that, I'm gonna, I would say, cut up to here. I also have these knots that I could harvest also today, but I want to get into this tree stump right here. I want to show that to you. This whole thing I want to get into. This is the core that I cut from in my previous video, which is this piece that you see right here. And I believe this here all the way, I would say, where it ends here, not including the stem, not including this piece of the core, but this piece right here that I call the wing, has the concentrations of fatwood that I am looking for and expect to find. Now this here, here's another piece that I found on my hiking adventures to this location. Look how beautiful that knot is. That is definitely a pine wood mega knot, very old. And I'm going to cut into this, and we're going to take a look and see if this has the concentrations of pine resin that I expect to find in it. Okay, I'm going to start chopping into this so I could clear all this out and start digging around this stump, because I believe the root system is still intact because of the concentrations of pine resin that's in it. So I'm just going to chop away and just move all this out the way. And this is the perimeter right here of the stump. I'll show you. That's the perimeter right here. All this, will you see that right here? Will you see that? That is part of the bark right there that you see, folks. So this is the perimeter. So I'm going to just clear all this away and get down to the root system. There it is. Whatever this is, I don't know if it's part of the root system from this tree. But here's another piece. And that does look like fatwood, folks. Look at that. That's amazing. This is part of the root system. That is It is fatwood. I can smell it. I'm going to cut into this. That is 100% fatwood root. Look at that, folks. Look at that. That is a real McCoy right there. This is a beautiful piece of root from this tree. Look at that. I'm smelling it. I could see it. It's plainly... That is totally saturated fatwood. That is one beautiful piece. Cut that side. Fatwood 100%, folks. Look at that. Wow, that is incredible. We're going to put that right there. Here I am at another dead fallen pine with just the core sticking out of it, just like the last one just like the one I had harvested from my last video. So upon cutting into this wood here, I see concentrations of fatwood. I see fatwood right in here, folks. What I want to do is cut. I want to cut down here and finish just chopping up some of this dead, decomposed wood that's going around the core. And the core is where you find the fatwood or concentrations of pine resin in this core right here, folks. Alright, what I'm going to do is start cutting this right here. And so this may start up here. Can't really see much, but I know this is all eaten up by termites. I'm going to get this out of the way. Look at that. Wow. That's nothing but rotted wood. So I wanted to cut it away because I know the lower I go, there's going to be fatwood toward the bottom of this stuff right here. Wow, this is not easy. I just hope, based on what I'm looking at, there's fatwood down here. So like I said, I'm going to cut as low as I can and get a piece of this right here. Here we are. Whoa. Take the sacks. See if that's going to break it. And like I said, folks, this is all rotted out. Wasn't worth the effort. All rotted out. All the way down. And that's what happens. You hit and you miss. So what I'm going to do to conclude this video, I'm going to go back where I first started. I have a piece of pine with some knots sticking out of it, a cluster, they call it a cluster, and also I found a piece, a beautiful, huge knot attached to the branch. I'm going to clean that up, and I'm going to get then I'm going to do a burn for you. It's pretty windy out here too, but it's beautiful. I'm enjoying this wind and the clouds. And this is episode 32, and I am back at the same location from my previous video to finish up harvesting this piece of fatwood right here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut it right here. I'm going to start cutting it right here. And then I'm going to get into the other piece. Then I'm going to start cutting into this piece that I feel that has lots of resin. Then I'm going to start cutting into this piece that you see here that I believe that has lots of pine wood resin. Okay, folks, here I am. Here we are. Like I thought, this doesn't have anything in it. This does not have anything in it, as you can see. So I'm just going to set this aside And I'm going to look into that later. But this piece right here, that's that wing. And I'm going to cut right down. I'm going to take my axe and I'm going to cut right down the middle like I just did. I'm going to poke the canvas. Okay, now what I did was just sliced into this, as you can see. What I want to do now is cut this in half and see if this is worth taking home. Now I want to leave them in long pieces that when I want to use it to shave, to take shavings from to make a fire, I have long pieces with long strokes. That makes it a lot easier. So what I'm going to do, cut it to this, see what it has. Just what I expected. Look at that. Beautiful pieces of fatwood. Concentrations of pine resin that's in this wood here. Okay, so what I want to do, I'm going to cut this piece of wood right in half. As you can see, I'm going to cut this right in half and then I'm going to cut it the other way. Cut this in half because I know this has the fatwood I'm looking for. This meets my expectations. I can feel that, folks. I can feel the way it's cutting. This is solid wood. Look at that. Just a little more. Wow. That's amazing. Gotta use this as a base here. 2 pieces of wood. There we are. That's it. Okay, now this piece of wood here, you see there's nothing, but the side of it, that's what I'm going to cut, and I'm going to get the remaining part of this wing. That's where the concentrations of fatwood it's going to be. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to there we are. This is what I'm looking for, folks. Look at that. Just what I'm looking for. Just what I'm looking for. Now what I'm going to do, to make it a lot easier, just take my knife. I'm going to cut right down the middle, or more toward the side of it right here, where I can find that. Now this is solid wood, folks. That just popped right off. That was part of a knot that I cut into. But we're going to try it here. I'm going to cut it right here. This is what I'm going to cut. That's part of the stem and that's part of the wing. And this is where the concentrations of fatwood is going to be. Just like I thought. Now I'm going to show you another piece real quick. I'm going to cut right into this to show it to you. Watch this. Watch this, folks. Look at that. Look at that beautiful, beautiful fatwood. That's nice. Look at that. Look how nice that is. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, here's another piece. I'm going to get through this. I'm going to get right through this process pretty quick. This is more fatwood. Beautiful piece right here. A nice long piece. And I'm also going to do a burn for you today. Look at that. That's part of the knot. Look at that. Part of the knot. I have a few pieces. Here's a few pieces of harvest fatwood right here, and I have plenty more to go. Plenty more wood to harvest. Okay, here we are. Now we're back to this piece here. This is a nice piece here, folks. What I'm going to do is cut right down about here. Look at that. Pops right off. That popped right off. There's nothing in here, but just to show you, there's nothing in there. You see? That's nothing. Chuck that to the side. These pieces here, that's gold. I'm going to show that to you right now. Watch this. I'm going to use this as a base. Cut straight down the middle of this right here. Look at this now, folks. Get ready. This is what I'm talking about right here. That's what I'm talking about. Look at that. It's the fatwood. There's different parts of the tree that you could harvest from now. You don't have to always go look for a dead fallen log or a pine tree and cut off all the branches at the shoulder. I mean, there's different ways that you could harvest and find fatwood. So this is just one of the ways that I'm showing you right here. Look at that. Look how beautiful that wood is. And it smells so good. Here's another piece, folks. Here's another piece. I'm going to try to cut right down in the middle of this. Is a thin piece. We're going to see if I can do it. Yes, I can. Perfect. Look at that. And that's going along the grain. That's why I was able to cut straight down with such a thin piece. Look at this. Look at that. That is amazing. This wood is totally amazing. Beautiful wood. And this is what I didn't carry out in my previous episode. Look at that, right here. Now look at the length of this wood, folks. Look at the length of that wood. See the length? You can take your scraper. You can take this and you can just start shaving. Taking shavings right off. Making a fire instantly. When you find fatwood like this, you're guaranteed you can get a fire lit if you know what you're doing and you have the proper tools. Okay, so well, I have one piece left here that I'm going to cut right down the middle here along the grain, and then we're going to shut the cameras down and I'm going to start digging out this stump. Here we are. Look at that. I love the smell of pine wood. Look at that. That little piece right there. That's a piece of fatwood gold. And not to mention this piece right here. Look at that. Just want to give you a nice slow scan of this beautiful fatwood. Okay, folks. That's it. Let me put one more down the middle here. That's beautiful. Okay. So for this small segment, this is what I just harvested. Now look how fast I got that. Instant fatwood, instant fire, instant survival. We're talking about efficiency. The better you get at something is when you practice. I'm not going to say practice makes perfect, but practice, sure enough, could make you better than you are. Practice, practice, practice. You get good at it, you become efficient. Just like knowing how to use the Ferro-rod, striking it one time to get a fire. The more strikes, the less efficient. Sometimes depending on the situation and the weather, but the less strikes you use to get a fire started with the Ferro-rod, and the more efficient you become, the better you are off. The less you're going to wear it out. Okay, there we are, folks. I just want to give you a view of this marshland and how far it goes back. Way back. Way back. See the set of trees right there in the center to the right? There's another patch of trees way back. It has to be more than 10 miles away. And then you got this, and then you have the ones right over there. That is amazing, folks. This is where I am, right at the marsh. Here I am, folks. I came back to harvest the rest of this fatwood from the other video that I didn't take with me because of the threat of thunderstorms. But I have the wood right here. I wanted to show it to you. And this is some of the wood that I harvested today. Okay, this is some of the wood. And here's the rest of it. I'm going to do a burn, and I'm going to show you a Ferro-rod with a few different type of strikers that you could use for you. So this is the wood that I got, that I harvested. Here's part of a root system. Look at that. That's fatwood, and this is part of a root system I dug up. And this camera you're looking at, this camera in front of me is right on top of that part of the root. And this is what I got out of it, folks. And this it's fatwood, but it's not something I'm looking for right now. Here we are. And this is it. This is what I dug up. And what I can do real quick is just cut on the side of it, chop on the side to see if I smell fatwood. I do smell fatwood in this. So what I'm going to do is probably cut a piece of that and see what we can get out of it. But before we do that, I want to get back to this. This is the wood I finished harvesting today. And that's from the previous video. And this is what's left of that piece of core, and this is what the wing that I called that was attached to the core of that small dead fallen pine. And this is a root, part of the root system. And you can look at that. Look at that, folks. That's pine wood. That's pine resin pine wood, fatwood. I'm going to put that here. I want to show you what I found on my hiking adventures coming to this location. This right here. And this is solid wood. I'm going to cut into it right now. We're going to see what it reveals. We're going to see what it has. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use this as a base right here and start cutting into this. I would say right here would be a good place to start cutting. Okay, folks, here we go. Here we are. And I have my head cam. I don't know how much is shaking, but I'm going to try to keep it as still as I can so you can have a bird's eye view also. I have 4 cans going. Here we are. This is what's going to reveal. Look at that. That smells really good. Even to this point, but this is toward the end. I'm going to chop into this. I'm going to cut right down the middle of this. I'm going to cut right into this, folks, right in front of you. What I want to do, I'll just take the hatchet and just chop this right here, this piece. There we go. Look at that. Look at that. Look at the color. Wow. That's what I'm talking about. You don't have to have a big log, fallen dead tree to find fatwood. It's all over the place. You just have to have a trained eye and be satisfied for whatever you could find. Scouting fatwood is not going to be living up to your expectations. Sometimes you do have expectations of finding something, or to what degree you want. This meets my expectations. Look at that. So what I'm going to do is just cut a little bit into it. I'm going to show you how beautiful this fatwood is. Look at that, folks. Now that's some serious fatwood right there. I'm trying to decide now. I think I'm going to cut this one more time. I'm going to cut it right here, right inside this knot, and then I'm going to cut it straight down. This all has fatwood in it, so I'm just going to cut it one more time. Oh yes. Okay. Time to shift cameras. Camera view right here. Great. Excellent camera view. Here we go. There it is. Look at this, folks. Just what I expected. Look at that. Look at the color of that. And I'm going to cut right down the middle of this. It's going to be steel on steel. I'm just letting you know now. Look at the color. This right here is about 2 to 3 pounds. This is totally solid fatwood. Look at this. Look at that. And this I found during my hiking adventures coming to this location. You always got to look down. Not always up either, too, folks. Just try not to look just for dead fallen pine trees. Try to look for pieces just laying there. There was no tree next to this. No tree. This was just laying out there in the woods by itself. I don't know how it got there. Okay. Okay, folks, so now what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut right down the middle of this. I have to cut. I just have to see what's inside this wood. I have to cut down. Got my old thick spine survival knife. It's a budget knife, and that's why I don't care if it's steel on steel, but we're going to cut right down the middle of this right now, folks. Here we go. Look at that. It's brittle, but look how beautiful that is. I'm going to make a burn with this. I'm definitely going to do a burn from this wood. Okay, and look at that. Look at the color. Look how beautiful that fatwood is, folks. That's real fatwood. That's totally resined pine wood. Look at that. This is beautiful wood. Okay, I'm going to cut down. I'm going to cut down a little more. Cut into this. Right down the middle here. And I also have that cluster of, look at that. This is brittle, but it just breaks up. Look at that. Look what's on the inside. Look at that meat. Wow, that is incredible fatwood. Look at that. If you like fatwood, this video is for you. Look at that fatwood. Wow. I'm going to cut down one more time. One more time. I just got to do this here. This is such fun for me, especially when you find fatwood like this out in the woods. Look how beautiful this is. I'm going to do a burn with this piece right here. You'll see that nice sharp edge. That's where I'm getting the shavings, and I'm going to do some curl shavings with it also. And I'm going to do a burn right in this hole for you. Look at that. That is incredible fatwood. Okay, so I'm going to cut this piece right down. This piece right here is definitely highly resin pine wood. I can see just by the color, the maroon color. Look at that. Here we go. Wow. Look at that. Look at that color. That is some beautiful fatwood. I may use this one to do a burn. I'm not even sure yet. Look at how beautiful this fatwood is, folks. This is some incredible, incredible fatwood. Very, very beautiful, high octane fatwood. All right. This one here also, this definitely has fatwood in it, I'm sure. I'm going to cut this one down a little more. Stay with me. It's only getting better. We're at the grand finale now. Look at that. This is brittle. It just breaks, unlike the root system that I had dug up in my previous video. And all the wood was fibrous with little strings, like stringy cheese. But this is brittle. It just snaps in pieces. Oh, look at that. Look at that beautiful fatwood. We're definitely doing a burn with this. So this is it. From that piece that I found, this is it right here. That's it, folks. And what I found on my hiking adventures coming here. Okay, so this piece here, this is awesome. What a beautiful piece of fatwood. Look at that. I just want to clean this up a little bit so I can show it to you. The power of the burn in a minute, folks. I'm going to demonstrate the power of the burn. Now, if this doesn't make you drool for fatwood, I don't know what will. Look at that. Is that not a beautiful piece of fatwood? Look, I'm not even going to do anything else to this. I'm just leaving it just like this. Decide what I want to do with it later. Look at that. That is incredible. Making sure this camera's picking this up. Incredible fatwood. Making sure I got this camera facing down far enough. Look at that. That's beautiful. Beautiful fatwood. Okay, to add to my beautiful collection. Hey, after all, I'm the one that have to work for this stuff. All right, here we are. Let's see what's in this piece of fatwood here. This doesn't look like much, but we're going to see about the clusters right now. Oh yes, definitely, folks. Let me cut this right there. Wow, that little knot. Look at that little knot. Small little knot, highly concentrated with pine resin. Wow, this is amazing. Well, I just might as well keep this in the ground and just keep cutting it. There's another amazing piece of wood. Definitely. You see the color of that. I'm going to clean both these small knots up. I just want to see what's in this. Yes. See what's in this wood here. That's part of the knot. That's entrenched. See what's in this. This is beautiful. That snaps right off. All right. Oh, we're getting funky here, folks. This is extraordinary. Right toward the knot. Look at that. Look at that color. That saturation of pine resin. It took years for this to happen. It takes years for fatwood to develop, folks. They said Minimum is 10 years. Imagine. Imagine fatwood trees that's been laying there, either standing or lying down. Been there for hundreds of years. Until somebody one day comes past, discovers it, and harvests the wood from it. That's the beauty of fatwood, folks. It has medicinal purposes also, not just for fire. You see, different parts of fatwood, I'm gonna explain something to you. Different parts of fatwood is like when you slaughter an animal, there are different cuts, and there are some choice cuts as far as more than others at different prices, and some taste better than others, some cost more, but it all boils down to all of it gets eaten. Same thing with fatwood. So you could have more or less fatwood that is totally saturated, or just saturate a little. You may find fatwood that's not as saturated, as it doesn't have so much pine resin in it. But you know, depending whatever it is, it all boils down. Fatwood, no matter what kind of fatwood, to what degree you get it, it all burns, just like a slaughtered animal. There's different cuts. You got prime cuts, you got choice cuts over other cuts, and you have to pay the price for that. What I'm going to do is shut all the cameras down and then get right back to you, because I need to take a water break. Stay with me.